Well, as the U.S. amps up its chips restrictions in China, we're going to continue this, and China is welcoming Russian President Vladimir Putin to Beijing for the 10th year anniversary of its Belt Road Initiative. China has already invested more than $1 trillion into global infrastructure and accumulated nearly 150 partner nations. Our next guest warns, though, the initiative's new plans could be a formidable issue for the U.S. So let's bring in CNBC contributor DeWardrick McNeal. He's also the managing director and senior policy analyst at Longview Capital. DeWardrick, thank you so much for being here with us. I guess just sort of lay out your theory or your thesis right now about the new initiative for Belt Road China and what it means for the U.S. Why should we be worried about this?
Certainly. I'd also love to come back to the Nvidia chips conversation because I have some slight points I would like for Tim to consider. But with respect to BRI, listen, I think that we know that this is an initiative that was very much dear to Xi Jinping and his desire to really sort of show China's influence. And a lot of that over the last 10 years was in sort of old infrastructure, roads, rail, bridges, ports. But I think the real question is what's the next act? And, you know, what I'm looking for is what is China going to do to retool the Belt and Road Initiative around green tech and new energy infrastructure and supply chains that control critical minerals at the source, perhaps invest in processing on site where they're digging some of those minerals. And look, the U.S. is behind the 8 ball when it comes to a lot of the sort of critical mineral infrastructure and the green tech. And China is going to press advantage there. And I think we're going to see that. Look, they've gotten really good at building EV infrastructure in China. What better way to juice their own automobiles in third markets than to go in some of these places under a retrofitted BRI and start to build EV infrastructure there that BYD and Xpeng and NIO can use to sell their automobiles. So, you know, I think the U.S. government is going to have to get really serious here about what we do in the critical mineral and the green technology space because China sees advantage, and I think they're going to press that.
Go ahead then and make your points about Nvidia and what we heard today with the United States sort of tightening these restrictions in the chip space.
So there's one piece of this, and of course this is a 600-page document that many of us have not gone through thoroughly. But one thing that did stand out to me with respect to Nvidia, and that's the notification requirements that are put in place, particularly if a company, and largely Nvidia, decides to design that just below the existing threshold. So if you'll remember, Tim, the A800 and the H800 was produced right after the last October's restrictions. Those chips are targeted now, and there's a notification requirement put in place that says you need to notify the administration if you intend to design that below that threshold again. So I do think that that is significant. I understand Nvidia's point, but this notification requirement, I think, could be a game changer.
I have to agree with you. By the way, no one throws a fastball high and tight with more grace than DeWardrick. So you're right. And as it relates to their China business, part of my call here is that I think the U.S. is really what this is about right now. And so U.S. entities don't have any issue adopting. You're right, though. I mean, they will refit and reformulate to get inside of what's needed to be done, and China will find something to knock them down with again. Right now, the story from NVIDIA is not about China, I guess, is my view. But anything on China, I'm listening to DeWardrick. He's our guy.
Well, then, speaking of DeWardrick, we talked a lot about Putin being there in China right now. I mean, what should we be paying attention to from a market and economic perspective when you have a leader like Putin there with Xi Jinping?
Well, I'll tell you, right now, China is Russia's main lifeline. And, Putin is getting the red carpet rolled out for him. But I think just underneath the surface, there's one person on that delegation that I think we should pay attention to, and that's Alexei Miller from Gazprom. So as you'll know, Russia has been desperate to get the Chinese to approve Power of Siberia 2, this gas pipeline running out of Russia into China. We thought we would get an announcement when Xi visited Moscow. The Chinese have been holding that back. Perhaps there's leverage, perhaps there's something there. But I think we should consider a lot of discussions happening while Putin is on the ground about trying to get Power of Siberia 2 up and running. I don't think that there'll be an announcement during this trip, but certainly his presence caught my attention.